Thanks for joining us this morning, and I think that for the first time at the Cowen Healthcare Conference.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Good to see you both virtually. I know we had a recent update on the fourth quarter earnings call just last week, and so some of these questions I'm sure you've been put in front of you more recently, but the update on the 510K filing strategy and moving forward with the de novo application. I think that was something you guys had always level set investor in our expectations that was a possibility. And I think just thinking about the landscape in robotics and FDA's kind of requirements to have some human data, it wasn't a big surprise by any means. But any incremental color you can share just in terms of the feedback you received from the FDA? It sounds like it's been very collaborative and they're very supportive of your efforts to move forward with the development of the Vicarious robot. But any incremental color you can share on the decision to ask for human trials for the ventral hernia indication?
Yeah, so I mean, this is output from a conversation that we've had with the agency over, it's really been over the last couple of months since our pre-sub, although most of the back and forth over the last couple of months has been them digging into questions about our device, understanding the details of our technology, the details of our first application, first indication. It's to some degree a reflection of some of the changes in the way the agency has been thinking about robotic surgical devices over the last year or two. And that's, from what you were saying about level setting, especially over the last 6 to 9 months. I mean, this has been, while we've been, excited about our internal plan of record to do a standard 510K, we also have been aware and been seeing what some of our competitors have been doing and, wanted to be upfront about that as we progressed. And in our conversations with the FDA, it's been a pretty similar outcome. I would say, though, it's, important to emphasize that while at the end of the day, I'd obviously have preferred to do the previous plan of record, just a straight 510K. We were always planning to do a clinical trial. We were just planning to do it as soon as we got clearance instead of pre-market, because it's quite difficult to market and sell a medical device without having a clinical trial that can support marketing claims. So at the end of the day, while it is a shift to the right in our FDA clearance, it's a much more muted shift in the total delay for any ramp, any sales, any material revenue.
Understood. And have you shared any details around what the clinical trial requirement looks like? I mean, our understanding of some of these de novo human trial requirements have been tens of patients, not hundreds. But any help just thinking about what the clinical trial burden is?
Yeah, so I want to have the kind of huge caveat here of the fact that we, where we're at right now is we're sharing this information publicly essentially as soon as we have it, right? As soon as we have it and have digested it, what we've done is we've shared our plan and our goal to get clearance without clinical data with the FDA. They've come back, they've said they think we should have some clinical data. So this is all in the confines of what we think that we have yet to review and get sign off on a clinical plan with the agency. And that being said, we're pretty aware of the same thing that you just said, which is that most of these trials are tens of patients. They're mostly short-term follow-up. In fact, during our call, the agency was pretty direct in that any long-term follow-up data for things like pain or recurrence, those are going to be expected to be post-market follow-up after clearance is issued, after we're selling. We just need to continue to track our clinical trial patients. And they were also pretty clear that we're looking at a single-arm study here, comparison against existing data rather than running a full control group as well. So we do anticipate this trial is, if it's in line with what we're thinking, and if the FDA agrees with that, which again is in line with what some of our competitors have done in the past few years, then we are likely looking at 4 to maybe 6 months to run the trial, and some amount of time for data collection as well, which is how we get to that 9 to 12 months.
Makes sense. Sometimes there are silver linings with delays, and I think one of the silver linings we've thought of is just, I know you were in developing the VR capabilities and incorporating or integrating the headset into the system, and does this kind of push out enable you to advance that and maybe use that in this ventral hernia human trial and get that approved with the first indication?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I wish I had a firm answer to that. I'll say that we certainly have not missed the opportunity to do that, and we're digging into it right now. To just be kind of fully candid with the audience here, I think that the question is the risk reward here, right? That the VR it's an incredible feature, but the robot itself provides so much value to patients. And it would be wonderful, and there's certainly an opportunity for us to clear VR with the rest of the system, given that we're doing clinical data anyway. But of course, it also adds some additional risk for the same reason that clinical data would have been required for the VR to begin with. So it's really a question of exactly our confidence, exactly how much we want to bundle risk or separate risk, get our device out to market, start selling it, and get customers and frankly happy, satisfied patients sooner. So you can probably tell where I'm leaning there, but
Sure.
it's not a decision that we've made yet.
Understood. And thinking about indications after ventral hernia, I mean, I think you guys have been clear. I just want to make sure I'm clear in interpreting your message, but nothing's really changed in terms of the clinical pathway in terms of human trials for subsequent indications. The only change is for the initial regulatory strategy for the ventral hernia indication, which would be the leading indication for you guys.
Yeah, that's correct. And in fact, I think one of the opportunities here is also a potential opportunity to pull in some of those future indications and bundle a few things together. We certainly, though, don't want to do what, frankly, some of our competitors have done, where we bundle 40 different indications together and end up delaying the launch of their initial device because of that. So, there's, again, a lot of opportunity here that we're digging into as we formulate the plan. And probably most importantly to me, nothing that we do is going to compromise the timeline of that initial ventral hernia launch.
Great. And can you just remind us, Adam, just the cadence of indications? I know you have ventral hernia, and then there's a bucket of others, including cholecystectomy and I think hysterectomy. But can you just remind us of the cadence of the indication pursuit that you guys are taking? If that's been fully determined yet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact cadence is a little bit back up in the air given this, but it's more up in the air in the way that we have opportunity to actually streamline it and have it all together. I'd say that the plan of record that we've disclosed so far, though, is within a year to have multiple additional indications, primarily focused on all other hernia repair. There's it's like each of the hernia repair buckets is in itself the largest indication. Ventral hernia is like almost 1 million a year. Inguinal hernia is over 1 million a year. That's U.S. alone, right? Compare that to prostatectomy, which is about 100,000 cases per year. These are incredible markets and incredible indications for us to help a huge number of patients and get into a lot of hospitals. So anyway, sorry, back to your question though. It's inguinal hernia and all other hernias, especially hiatal, cholecystectomy, hysterectomy, oophorectomy, everything around that. And then colorectal is also incredibly exciting for a number of reasons, but we're going to need to launch our stapler before we do that. So that's the one that's going to have more than a year delta between the initial launch and the launch of colorectal procedures.
Excellent. And I know you've received some additional surgeon feedback. I think you've had some surgeons come to your headquarters and do a test run on the Beta 1 system. And I know you shared some of this on the earnings call, but maybe just to review some of the feedback that you've gotten and why you continue to be highly optimistic or confident that there's going to be great demand as you move into these clinical trials and then into the commercialization phase.
Yeah, I think it's hard to overstate how excited the feedback has been, and it's even in the Beta 1 form. I mean, it's not a product yet. It looks and feels a lot like a product, but it's not a product yet. And we have, that's why we're doing this testing. That's why, we're developing our second beta system, and we'll be, having much more widespread evaluation, especially over the next 9 months or so on that system. The feedback's been wonderful. We've done multiple different procedures. We have, surgeons in here about every week doing cadaver labs in our facility. It's been absolutely incredible, and these are not just our KOLs that we work with, but very much the world's leading hernia surgeons, plus a lot of surgeons who are completely novice to our device, who have never used it before. Throw them into the experience, understand can they really on their first try do a procedure more quickly and more easily with our device than they can with anything that exists today. And the answer to that has been largely yes, with a few caveats that are fortunately all product design features. I think I've mentioned the hand controllers before, but that I'll say until it's fixed in Beta 2, I'm going to keep mentioning the hand controllers because it is the thorn in our side. But these are all things that they're like ergonomic concerns. They're not fundamental core technology concerns. That to me is actually the most important and one of the biggest pieces that's come out of this beta testing is the understanding that the core technology works, the value is there, and the things that we need to change between now and a product are all about the rough edges.
Excellent. And just thinking about the cadaveric testing and the potential to I mean, is there any aim to collect data on cadaveric testing, just in terms of anything that will be you'll be able to share publicly as or any formal data accrual?
Yeah, it's a very fair question. I think the real answer is that as we get into more formal, more like GLP studies, we'll certainly be able to share a lot of the specific data around that. What we're aiming for, though, more than anything else for beta 2, is to show the experience of the surgeon more than anything. And we're looking at ways to do that in as we discussed on the earnings call, some opportunity to do that with placing our device in a realistic hospital setting, so that they can so that the surgeons can actually use it in essentially in a real scenario, but in cadavers, and actually demo that live to our analyst community and the investment community as well. Because I think more than anything else, understanding that and seeing a comparison of what our device is like, what it's like to actually use it in comparison to what exists today, will show the true value of what we have to offer.
Actually, and that is an interesting proposition to get the beta 2 system into hospital setting for evaluation. And I think you've talked about some of these hospital partnerships, and I think with the surgeon feedback that you're getting in the cadaveric lab, and then getting this beta 2 evaluation in the hospital setting, but it is intriguing. But wanted to just kind of dig a little bit deeper in terms of the hospital partnerships that you guys have developed, and because I think that is a unique angle, just in terms of getting feedback on the administrator level as well, not just the surgeon level, in terms of what hospitals want to see out of a robotic system, and some of the holes that your platform could fill in terms of portability, cost, et cetera, but also just thinking about launch and how you market your system to hospitals and hospital systems. These hospital partnerships seem to be valuable. But high-level question, not really asking a question, but maybe the question is just to explain to us better what these hospital partnerships really entail, and how many of them are in place right now.
Yeah, so I think first of all, it's important to talk about how surgical robotics and medical devices are normally developed, which is that they're certainly developed in partnership with a few key opinion leading surgeons, but they're primarily developed internally with you work with your KOLs, you develop the device, and then you launch it, and then you get feedback and continue to iterate. And part of the reason for that is because it's how medical devices has been done, but part of the reason for that is because it is hard to capture the time, the attention, the energy of hospital administrators, the hospital C-suite, as well as large numbers of surgeons to give feedback. I'd say that we're in an incredibly fortunate position of having a device that really is that intriguing, that exciting to both surgeons and hospitals. And because of that, we've been able to leverage that into incredible investment opportunities for hospitals. We have a number of hospital chains, both in and outside the US, as major investors in our company. And with that, we have incredible partnerships with hospital chains that, together they represent a few hundred hospitals worldwide. It's really a beautiful opportunity the way that we actually frame this up with the hospitals is we have our KOL group, who provides incredible, valuable insight on the surgeon experience and the clinical opportunity of what we're doing. But then we have our clinical operations group, which really provides, and that's hospital C-suite, hospital administrators, and they provide incredible insight to allow us to refine the design of our device around the needs of hospitals, around the needs of the workflow in the hospital, the reprocessing of instrumentation, the moving devices from OR to OR, how you actually get in, sell, train, and standardize care across facilities. And this is something that's just never been done before a device has been on market. So frankly, the hospitals are just as excited as we are about it, because to them, it's an opportunity to refine our product offering, which started with significant opportunity above what exists today, into exactly what they need and exactly what they want. And for us, it's obviously an incredible opportunity as well.
Excellent. Thanks for that. And I wanted to ask you, you listed a couple of milestones. One, we've already talked about, just transitioning into the beta 2 system and getting that placed potentially in a hospital setting. Wanted to ask about the surgical simulator that you expect to launch later this year, and maybe just help us understand why that's important, and how that's going to potentially drive increased surgeon interest in front of some of the regulatory and launch milestones in the out years.
Yeah, so the surgical simulator is actually something that we use internally all the time today. We do testing on it, frankly, more frequently than we even do on our actual device. And one of the reasons for that is that it's incredibly easy for our team to travel to surgeons to have them try out our technology, give us incredibly valuable feedback. We use the surgical simulator for feedback on ergonomics and hand controllers, for feedback on inverse kinematics of the device. So essentially the mapping from the hand controller input to the robot output, abdominal cavity size, insertion, and hernia repair technique. It's actually a quite high fidelity simulator where you can, throw sutures, place a mesh, do detailed surgical tasks that are they feel quite like they do in real life on our device. So we think that this will be an incredibly valuable tool to expand more broadly than, frankly, just in our office, to allow people to experience our technology, to give us feedback, to experience some of the details of a hernia repair as well. So we're really excited about the opportunity with this surgical simulator, and it really is, to some degree, whetting the appetite for the launch of our commercial device.
Great. And another milestone you guys have called out is just this, identifying a center of excellence and within the health system. Is that kind of in conjunction with this launching of the surgical simulator? And then how do you see that really adding into this pre-marketing, getting surgeons exposed and interested in the Vicarious robotic system?
Yeah, so it's the Center of Excellence is going to be today just as much about one of those similar hospital partnerships as it is about surgeon interest and all of that. We are frankly early to be launching a real Center of Excellence, and that's part of why we're so excited about it, because I think it's a strong demonstration of the level of hospital interest that we have, as well as the level of just the level of engagement that we have with these facilities. The goal is going to be to essentially build out all the details of the Center of Excellence and to use this facility, this institution to go through and do a lot of the same feedback that we're talking about around our beta testing and around our surgical simulator as well. So it's a pretty amazing opportunity. We're in discussions with a number of facilities right now. I say, frankly, turning that into kind of the finalized agreement and details is the getting to the finish line here. So
understood. Are there going to be any milestones just on the manufacturing side or updates on the manufacturing side in terms of how you're progressing and hitting some of the your manufacturing goals through 2022 and into 2023? How should investors be thinking about that ramp up? I know you're continuing to finalize the system and you're getting into beta 2, but any updates on any progress on the manufacturing front, or how we should think about receiving updates over the course of the next 12, 24, 36 months?
Yeah, it's a good question, especially in COVID and the current supply chain worlds that we're all experiencing. Frankly, seeing our beta system progress is going to be a key part of that. Seeing us continue to build out our manufacturing site, and as we do that, we're going to be really excited to continue to announce when we installed and fully built out a clean room in our facility so that we can manufacture sterile devices. We're in the process of validating that clean room right now, and we'll be excited to announce when we do. And we've actually, I think you probably noticed mid or late last year, we leased an entire new building. It's 20 feet that way, and essentially building out a campus here. And it's that is the start of our real manufacturing build up and ramp up here. So as we go through each of these builds, we're building more and more units, more and more devices, more and more sterile disposables, and we're going to continue that all the way up through clinical trials. So it is a steady ramp over the next 2 years.
Great. Adam, we've talked about this historically, and many other med tech companies that have robotic platforms are talking more and more about this digital ecosystem, and I think Vicarious, you guys seem to be well positioned to leverage your differentiated technology to capture data, incorporate AI. But maybe would love to just hear again sort of your view on how you're positioned there, and just how you envision your system kind of delivering data, potentially informing surgeons interoperatively, and why your approach is unique and differentiated. We just don't have all the details on the digital ecosystem build out for the incumbents, the Medtronics, Johnson & Johnsons of the world, but I guess they're not incumbents yet in the United States, but in terms of at least what they've disclosed. But we'd love to hear your view on how Vicarious is positioned and how you see your technology evolving into a digital ecosystem.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite questions. It's actually it's kind of a lot of the foundation for what we're doing comes around the fundamental belief that the digital ecosystem is going to be one of the most important parts of the future of surgery. And I think I come at this problem as a mechanical engineer. So I think a lot of people have they've seen the world we're in, right? They're smart people. They understand that collecting data is going to be incredibly important, but they forget about the mechanical portion of that, which is to say that they forget about the fact that you need to build a physical architecture that has the sensors that then allow you to collect the data. And everybody else has chip on the tip, right? It's has a laparoscope with the very tip having 2 cameras. Everything is stuck on the very tip of that laparoscope. We have this that you can see behind me, this wide camera pill. I'm sure we can come up with a better name for that. With 2 incredible 5K image sensors, varied spectral imaging, and the ability to actually map everything in 3D. And then we have 28 sensors on each arm built into the device so that we actually have force and position at every joint. So we not only know what the surgeon intended to do, we know then what that resulted in with robotic motion, what forces that resulted in on tissue, and then we can map how that tissue deforms and changes as we progress through the procedure. So we're also leveraging a number of our partnerships now to then connect that into surgical outcomes and to start collecting longer term data. I think this is the full build out that surgery has needed. And the value of this it's incredible, right? It's incredible in even things as simple as mesh selection or guiding surgeons to place sutures at the appropriate locations in order to start hitting the low-hanging fruit of things that produce bad outcomes. Simply warning surgeons that, hey, we've noticed that your mesh overlap is less than 2 centimeters, and from our data, that's associated with 5 times higher recurrence. And then moving out to actually automating pieces of procedures. I really do believe that in 10, 20, 30 years, we're going to have more and more of surgical procedures automated so that surgeons can do broader and broader tasks and can focus on more and more things at a time. And we can narrow the band of consistency of outcomes. And again, this is all something that many people in the field have spent time talking about, spent time thinking about. We have the physical infrastructure that creates the data layer that then can create that automation for our AI team to build out.
Excellent. And I know this is a little bit of a crystal ball question, but as we think about you building out those capabilities and thinking about the timelines, I mean, are we, when thinking about kind of this full-on digital ecosystem evolving, do you think we can get there within the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years? What's the kind of window where everything you just described, will be in play, not just from Vicarious, but maybe from some other players as well?
So I think, I can't really answer for the other players. I can certainly answer for myself. Sure. It's for us, in the next few years, you're going to see really meaningful progress on this. Again, it's about bundling risk, and when we initially launch things, we likely will not be including all of these features. But these are, they're the features that I'm talking about are features that we've built out or are building out today. It's things that are well in the works, that we have the capability. These are not not really hypothetical future features. So if we're really talking about, I think you used the word fully built out. I think it's the answer to that is I hope never. I hope that we continue to build incredible features and leverage our sensing and AI capability forever. But I think there are going to be some pretty incredible things even in the next few years.